Hi there. So in today's tutorials, you will be learning how to draft an under bodice corset. That is what you see me doing here. So this is how the pattern would look like after the drafting. So first and foremost, you would need the person's measurements. So here the person's measurements, shoulder to bust was actually 11 inches. So from the 11 inches, okay, shoulder to bust is 11 inches. From the 11 inches, I came down by 3 inches. So I ended up at 14 inches before I actually marked out the waist measurement, right? So that is the bust, that is the under bust, okay? That you see me drawing right in there. So that is the under bust measurement. So you would come down by 5 inches to actually know for sure that is how where the bodice would be ending, okay? So I just want you to understand it completely. That is why you see me drawing these lines, this extension. That 16 is actually the shoulder to the waist, okay? So we have the bust, the under bust, the waist, and then the tip of the dress, okay? So you add an inch allowance to your under bust and also 1 inch allowance, sewing allowance to the tip, okay? So I'm straightening out the waist section so that you get to understand which line is purposely lined out for the waist. So here is actually the starting point. As you can see me drawing a straight or horizontal line. So that is actually the starting point. So you mark out your bust, but what we really need is your bust and the bust, your waist, and then your tip. Okay, the tip of the corset, okay, which is normally from the waist to the tip is around 5 inches or maybe 6 inches. So you could actually also achieve this by not drafting any dart inside the corset, but it doesn't give the crunchiness that has to give at the waist section. So with the darting, that is how you see me marking 4 inches each so that I could actually draft my dart. I came out by half of an inch and then half of an inch at the tip as well. That is what you see me marking here. And also where the underbust is, I marked it half of an inch, just so that I can have that cut in between. So here, for instance, that is also one of the dots that can also help out crunch the waist. So you see that it starts at the tip whilst it prolongs to, it starts actually at the underbust, sorry, but it will be extended to actually the allowance that was added to the top. Okay, so the first, or let's say the second line. Okay, so if you could see it, you see that it starts from the tip there and then it slants to the end of the dress, which is the tip. I mean the end of the underbust, which is the tip. So I'm also crunching the waist. That is why you see me going in by half of an inch and straightening it down. Okay, so these darting would actually help you shape out your corsets, your underbust corsets. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be too straighty to not give any effect. It has to be in a crunch form. Okay, so you see that actually starts from the tip of the allowance and it is being transferred to the tip of the dress. So the starting of the corset to the tip. So here is actually me working around the actual waist measurement and adding 3 inches sewing allowances to them. Okay, so this is how it looks. Okay, this is how it looks after it was done drafted. So there's going to be an extension from the upper under corset, the under bust. So right beneath your breast, which is your underbust. That is actually the reason why we have the name as an underbust corset, because it starts right beneath your breast or your bust measurement. Okay, and in the front section, there was a bit of a curve, not going down as a V shape, but actually going up rather. So in order for you to make sure that you get the results you want to get, you would actually also have to try your best that when you're drafting it, you have to fold it out. Okay, so kindly do take a very critical look at what is being done here. You realize that where the darting are, I actually make folds there so that I can get it as straight and as edgy as it has to be. When you exempt it from your drafting, it's going to change the outcome completely. You're really not going to get the results you have to get. Okay, so making sure that you fold the darts out, they are very necessary. It's something that is very important. Without it, you can't really get the results that you have to get. So I would advise that wherever the dart is, you fold it up so that you can curve it or give it any shape that you want to get it. So now that we are actually done with the front section, we will be cutting the back. So in order to cut the back, I will be using the front to be the guide for my back measurement. Okay, so here I'm signing out a straight line so that I can know for sure that is my starting point, and then I'll transfer the waist measurements and all the necessary important details in it. So this is where the waist are and the waist are supposed to align. So I'll mark it there on the brown paper for the back section, but because of the extensions and like the explanations that happened on the first one, I'm just erasing it out so that it can have a very clean surface so that you will not be confused. Okay, so I would also draft a straight line there so that I can just get a straight edge. Okay, it was a bit of curved, so I had to draw a line there so that it would also significantly show where the end would be, okay, for the back of the corset. So here I am putting the front on the back where I will be drafting the back, okay, so that I can know for sure where the waists are. The waists are supposed to align so that the darting can be on point to crunch your waist. Okay, so here you could see that I'm putting it on. I've actually made sure that the darting sections are aligning, and I'll come out by half inch, come in by half inch, and then do that at the other end as well. So with this particular underbust corset, you just have to, sign it out like that. At the end of the day, the down section is going to look like a V shape. Okay, it's going to end up a V shape because of the fact that we have bats. And it gives like we have bats there. You need to make sure that you do not make it straight. The main reasons why we actually work on the front and make them straight is because we try our best to hide our stomach so that our stomach cannot show out. But if you don't do that and you make the back as well, make the back straight as well, it means that's going to flatten the person's buttocks, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so you try your best to make sure that you actually make them meet at the end so that it can give room for the bust to restfully get a place to stand and pop out. Okay, so that is actually the reason why the darting from the front and the back, those are the only difference from the front and the back. Okay, we make sure that the tips of the corset do meet at the back, but with the front it doesn't, it just opens up. So here I'm marking it out so that I can see for sure where the waist aligns, and these arrows are to identify or simplify that is actually the upper section. So the arrows looking directing at the upper section means that, okay, so that is the up of this dress, or that is the up of the corset, so that when I'm sewing, or whoever holds this pattern, when you're cutting and sewing them, they would know for sure that place where the arrow is pointing means that that is the upper section of the underbust corset. If this is your first time coming across my YouTube channel, do not forget to subscribe and share. Do not also forget to turn on your notification bell so that you will be alerted anytime I post something new on this channel. So here I'm taking all the darting out of it because they are not needed. We need to take the dart out to give that cringiness in the waist. Okay, that is the reason why I am taking out the darts, so that we can have the effect, the cringiness effect in our underbust corset. So here you see me taking them out like so. Yes, yes, yes. So I would actually cut the darts out like so. If you also want to see a video of me sewing them together, let me know so that I can do another video for that. But here, that is it. So the arrow means up, that is up of the dress. So where the arrow is pointing signifies that that is the upper section of the outfit. So this is how the back looks. Can you see that thing? Okay, I hope you get it. And this is the front. The front, can you see the darting as well with the front?